This was the property with one of the agents we normally work with, or we bought some stuff before, and he said, oh, it just fell through, would you look at it?
So a sale, they were selling to somebody else, sale had fallen through, and what was the reason for that sale failing?
It was subject to planning, and they didn't get the planning they wanted.
The previous buyer was trying to buy this property, but only if they're able to get the planning for what they want to do. They failed at being able to do that, hence the property became available.
Yeah. So we came and have a look at it, and the first thing was that it was so big. So we thought, oh, the size would be perfect for a HMO. It was a family house, quite dated. The family wanted to move back to Ireland, so they weren't open to any creative deals or
Nothing
any,
fancy.
yeah, nothing fancy.
Nothing, I'll give you a bit now and
No,
some later.
No, they just wanted cash and they're gone.
Hey, we're just in central Coventry right now with Nanik and Magdalena, who had converted this 5-bedroom family house into a 7-bedroom high-end HMO. But sometimes when we look at these projects, and they could look amazing, generating £6,000 a month from this particular house, however, they can be full of problems. Let's go inside and talk about some of the challenges they've had with this particular project. So come on through. So we're in one of the attic rooms right now. We've got 2 attic rooms here. It looks absolutely stunning. I'm quite happy to rent one of these and live here myself if I need a bit of space. Tell me what you're going to be renting these for.
So this is going live next week.
Okay, a few days time.
A few days time, and the agent said $850 per room. So obviously we'll see. But we've got already a list of people that were ringing from the street and asking us, if they can rent.
So in a few days time, kind of like block viewings.
Yeah.
Aim for about $850 on these, which is, where's that compared to what generally a market would be for, say, an ensuite room in Coventry?
I think these were quite large rooms, so they between 15 to 17 square meters, which is not a common HMO, single occupancy. So we're looking for couples as well. People that want a little bit more space. They got tables, they got kitchenettes, like a tea preparation. So they've got everything more of a self-contained.
So before we get into some of the challenges, then let's talk about what have you done to this property?
Well, we've stripped it back to brick, and we've moved a lot of walls around. Okay. So each room is roughly the same size in square footage. So they're all equal in a way, instead of having a box room and a large room.
Typically, the original family house, there would have been lots of different size rooms. Yes. So you've tried to reproportion them all.
Yeah, so they're all roughly the same size. Okay. So we didn't want any messing around in that way, and we wanted it to be consistent in that way.
But one thing I notice is, they look really nice and modern and nice and slick, but they're all slightly different. They're not exactly the same. So it's not like every room is exactly the same as the other. So
this is an interior designer idea, so not mine. If it was me, it would be all white.
So you're not going to take the credit?
IKEA, simple. So we went for like a different design, so it feels different. People can come and choose. So when the agent will be doing viewings, they'll be like, oh, this is a green room, this is a purple room, this is a pink room, which one do you like? And so this is more for a marketing purpose.
And I suspect you'll let this really quick, especially the way the market is at the moment. There seems to be less stock on the market, lots of people looking, people willing to pay that premium rent for the best quality product, which is essentially what you're creating here. So who's it typically going to be aimed for? Is it kind of graduates, or we're not students, I'm guessing?
Yeah. No, it'll be more professional market, and postgraduates as well. It's all open to anyone, but we are looking at that end.
Because the way it's laid out and the way it works, it can work for multiple different type of tenant formats. So you're going to have some social housing tenants in here as well, or?
Not in this.
Probably not what you had in mind. Okay. And your experiences, this is not the first time you're renovating a house. This is not the first HMO, so you have some experience of doing this?
Yes.
Yeah, we were just saying, if this was our first project, it will be killing, because it took longer. It's a big thing, even the fridges, it's seven TVs, the massive kitchen, all the furniture, that was a huge cost added on, really. You're looking at your renovation costs, there's a garden to do, there's a front of the house to do, so there's so much more than you just, with this size of the property, everything is more expensive, because everyone who comes is like, oh my God, this is really big.
Yeah, and like bathrooms, like it's 7 bathrooms and stuff, and everything just multiplies up. Yeah. So let's find a comfortable place to sit down. Let's talk about numbers.
Okay.
Let's do that. So before we get into the juicy numbers, let's talk about some of the challenges that you've had, because it hasn't been a smooth ride. So let's first talk about how you found the property.
This was a property with one of the agents we normally work with, or we bought some stuff before, and he said, "Oh, it just fell through. Would you look at it?"
So a sale, they were selling to somebody else, sale had fallen through, and what was the reason for that sale failing?
It was subject to planning, and they didn't get the planning they wanted, so the seller said, "No, we just want it out now. We're going back."
The previous buyer was trying to buy this property, but only if they're able to get the planning for what they want to do. They failed at being able to do that, hence the property became available.
Yeah. So we came and have a look at it, and the first thing was that it was so big. So we thought, oh, the size would be perfect for a HMO. It was a family house, quite dated. The family wanted to move back to Ireland, so they weren't open to any creative deals or
nothing
any
fancy.
nothing fancy.
Nothing. I'll give you a bit now and some later.
No, they just wanted cash and they gone. So it was still during the lockdown. We bought it 2021, end of the year. So they thought, well, we're stuck here. We just won.
And price was still strong then, so it's not as though there were people who were desperate to sell or anything. The market was fairly strong at that time.
So it was advertised as 350, which is a normal price for. It's very close to town. It's just outside the ring road. It's massive, in terms of size. So it was quite fair. We've offered 310.
Okay.
Which was rejected. Then we went backwards and forwards. So, can you meet us halfway? Can we give you 1,000 extra? Blah, blah, blah. We got to 327,500 or something like that.
I like the 500s when you talk about it's like, this is the last bit of juice in the tank. Yeah.
And we agreed to do that. We had a valuation. We were buying it cash, but we still instructed the valuer. And because it was a family house, there's no drive in the middle of the town. Yeah. So the guy was...
It's quite tight property as well.
So he's valued it as 280, which was good for us.
Yeah. And then, survey came in at 280, 320 something and a half, you agreed.
Yeah.
Where did you end up then?
Well, we went back to the agent and said, look, this is so much, this is too much of a difference. Yeah. We need something going down here. We need to do something. And we've agreed to 310, which we originally wanted.
Yeah. So 310 is what you purchased at. So you purchased, and then did you get the builders in straight away and start ripping it apart?
No.
You had to do planning first.
Okay. Yeah, so 7-bedroom HMO.
For a 7-bed, that took, I think, 6 months.
Yep.
We had it in June.
That means the planners were going slow as well in terms of getting things turned around.
Yeah, we had to have a survey and additional things and transportation survey and this survey and a bin survey and any survey possible because they just weren't ready to.
And this is sometimes we don't take this in consideration when we're looking at project. We're thinking, about 3 months for planning. Yeah. But actually it takes a few weeks to get the drawings and stuff organised. Then you get the application in. Then it takes 3 months. But then they might not give you an answer straight away and it might drag out. So in this case, 6 months. So then after 6 months, you got the builders in?
No. We were removing the chimneys, so we had to have the party wall agreement because the builder came back and said, well, we can't risk it, we don't know what's going to happen. And if they ever object, the neighbours, the project will be stopped.
And it's a significant investment in this, so it's a case of doing things properly. I know sometimes people think, I don't want about party wall agreements to crack on. And for somebody who's watching this, not quite clear about what a party wall agreement is, essentially when you're working onto a neighbouring property and it's very close, I think within 3 metres, you need to get some agreement from them. You're doing that. Yeah. So that was a case of taking the piece of paper over and say, can you sign here and let's crack on?
No.
Nope. That was dragged out. The actual house next door is owned by a housing association. Okay. So they were quite strict on all the information they wanted. They wanted every survey done possible. Okay. So we had to do them all.
Yeah, and you have to pay for those as well.
Pay for those and wait for them
to
come back to us in that way as well, which took realistically 3 months, I reckon.
Okay. Yeah. So 6 months planning, 3 months trying to get party wall agreement sorted out.
Yeah. So planning came end of June 2022. Then the party wall agreement we started work end of September here.
Okay. And in the meantime, it's sitting empty, costing you council tax and stuff, and not earning you anything. Yeah. Okay. And it's very easy to not factor these things when we're looking at projects like this, which is why we're saying if someone's starting a huge project like this, it may not be the best place to start.
And like you said about the costing, and if imagine buying this on bridge, because you would have to do work, so you couldn't really take a mortgage and convert that because we were going for planning, we were changing the use, we were adding a lots of rooms, bathrooms and stuff like that, and that would be a huge cost. Huge cost if we.
So about 9 months in, you started works then, or?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so what, about 5 months work to turn it around? In an ideal world, in an Excel spreadsheet only, but in the real world.
No, it went over minimum 4 months, didn't it?
Yeah, we've only, so at end of September last year, and we finished second week of July, the official building.
And we wanted it wrapped up by March.
Yeah, so what was that? It was about a year the expectation was about a year to turn it around? Or?
Yeah.
And it went on for about a year and nearly a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, as you mentioned, if somebody was on a bridge and they'd had that money stuck, they'd be absolutely struggling to do that. And in some cases, probably have even got the property repossessed if they're not sure what they're doing. So why did the project take so much longer? Is it just kind of just building things unforeseen, or was there anything in particular?
Yeah, there was unforeseen things like when they taken the walls moving. We had a lot of walls moved. The plastering wasn't good enough. It needed to be all stripped back to brick, all fresh from the start in that way.
Yes.
So we did do all of that, which actually we didn't cost in at the beginning.
Yes.
So that was an add-on cost.
Yeah.
But we stripped the whole building down back to brick, put it there.
Once you do a big project like that, sometimes it's easier to do these things while we're never going to do that again. So it's empty. Let's just do that, insulate this, change everything that you need to.
And we did go for a lot more upgrades than originally expected. I think they have a certain criteria they stick to. We wanted slight higher grade, so we paid the extra to get the upgrade.
So the quote that the builder originally gave you was to do it in a certain way, and you've upgraded some of that. Yeah. Look, as you mentioned, you've been doing this for some time. You're not kind of brand new to this, and we met probably, I can't remember how many years ago now, maybe 8-9 years ago, something like that. 10 years ago. Wow, that's long. You still look as young as ever. Let me know what the secret is. So property's been in the blood for a very long time. You've been quite active in commentary, doing lots of different projects. You work with investors, they kind of funding projects for you. So how did we end up working together in terms of me supporting you in terms of what you're doing? What was the thinking behind getting help from that point of view?
I think, like you said, sometimes you get to the point and you think, I know everything. Like, I don't need any knowledge because I can just get, building control, architects and all that. But we got to the point where we were too comfortable. And at the beginning, you're striving and you want to start and you're just really, going for it. But when you get to some level, you're like, oh,
it's easy to take the foot off the gas then.
Yeah, why did that? So we were, obviously we knew you and we attended your networkings and all this stuff. And we thought, well, we need someone to kick our...
Yeah.
So we're working together in the Inner Circle program in terms of mentoring to really kind of push you forward to get those results. And, even I have mentors that support and guide me as well. And you support people through your own mentoring and training programs as well. So let's get into the numbers, the nitty gritty that people like. What was the total spend then in terms of this project?
So the build cost 170,000.
Okay, so that was what, 40-odd thousand more than what was initially anticipated?
Yeah.
Okay. And where did the extra 40-odd grand end up? You mentioned some of the upgrading of the specification.
Yeah.
Because I guess when you get a builder in to quote it, they don't think about these fancy tiles and the copper handles and these nice lights. They're like putting pendants in for £2.50.
Yeah.
Yes.
Moving the walls was the big one. Creating the en-suites, it's 7 of them.
Yeah.
Staircase, I think we shortened the staircase. There's a lots of obviously piping and things that the builders do. I don't really know.
So that's the general bulk of works. Yeah. But the extra money, where did that go? The stuff that wasn't initially anticipated.
Well, that mostly went on the upgrades of kitchen.
Yeah.
All the work there.
Carpets.
They were putting basic kitchenettes in. We wanted a higher grade. All the works for the interior designer as well. I think the interior designer is the actual. I think before we never really costed that in until the end, and then realised we were out a lot. So this time we put it in there, but it's an expensive thing to do.
It's like different tiles in each bathroom, each ensuite. It looks really amazing, but the wastage of the tiles is more.
There's no leftover tiles you can use in the next bathroom because everyone's different, everyone's customized individually.
And I think in that the moment we were doing the project, the price has just gone crazy. Things were going 100% more, 200% more. So it was hard for the builders, which I understand, to price the project because they price it in June 2021, and then
And since then,
started in
prices have gone
September.
up quite a lot.
Yeah.
So was the builder honourable enough to stick to their prices?
Yes.
And sometimes some builders can't. Their hand is forced and they just can't do it. And it's unfortunate we hear that. So it's great that they stuck to their price, which probably means they probably didn't make very much money on the job, because everything will have cost them more to try and finish. But the finish that you've created here is absolutely amazing. It's stunning. And you said, you've gone over, but that, I think, what makes the difference between, say, a nice new HMO where you might get £650 room to taking it to 850, because it looks great, and that extra little spend, I think, makes a huge difference.
It's definitely the interior designer. So if you're working in service accommodation or HMO where the competition is really high, you should have somebody like that on the team, because we would never think about it. We are too busy, trying to get the projects.
Because you've got lots of things going on, you're sourcing new deals.
Thinking about the lamp and this, lovely little things that makes a difference is not something.
Delegating this to somebody who has an eye for these details and let them create that for you, and then the team deliver it. So what kind of projects do you have in the pipeline at the moment?
At the moment, we do a bit of a normal family-led upgrade, so buy-to-lets and stuff like that. We are preparing for auction next week, so fingers crossed, and buy 8 studios in there. So we're looking for self-contained units. So we're creating more of a self-contained flats.
Small blocks of apartment.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess the question on everybody's mind is then, what's the end value of a property like this? You're generating about 70 odd grand a year, or you will be in terms of gross income thereabouts, possibly even a little bit more. What's the value of this, do you think?
We're looking at 600,000 as an end value, which is not the question of how much is worth at the end, is the questions of the mortgages and stuff that is happening in the market. So this is where, as a property investor, you need to be really flexible with things, because if the project takes almost 2 years to do, you don't know what's going to change. So you have to be flexible, and obviously, the money is important, but we have to look at what is now the best for us in terms of refinancing this.
In this particular project, your partner is like effectively a joint venture partner. They've funded the project with you. That's how you've done this particular one. But often what you're doing, you're borrowing money for a project from a private investor. That's how you tend to do that. So you've spent about 500,000 ballpark, I think, on this. Your value is about 600,000. So you create about £100,000 of equity. Often it's nicer to create more, but there's so many challenges with this. But this will be an amazing asset to have even for the long term as well. So your refinances on a commercial basis.
Yeah, we're talking we are discussing that with the broker, and this is another thing. You need to have a team where we will be looking at different solutions. If we do this, this is the outcome. If we do this, this is the outcome. These are the fees. These are the interest rate. Because everyone always look at the interest rate. Is not the interest rates only. Is the fees. Which adding on to the cost.
Even the valuation fees, the product fees, the broker fees, all these are going to get stacked onto the finance that you're looking at. So you'll borrow about 75% of end value on this, or about 450,000. You'll have approximately 50,000 of the investor's money still stuck in the deal. So in this particular one, that's the arrangement.
Yeah. And it's good to go into the project with the clear head of how long you want to wait for your money. So we, generally speaking, we've got all our projects are 3 years or less.
Yes.
To get all the money out, and we always think about the future with properties, but we can't always wait 10 years, 12 years. We need to make the money work faster, and that's
because I know you quite well. I know you don't like the idea of selling. I'm a big fan of you keep some, you sell some, but you don't like to sell anything. If it's got a CV postcode on it, you ain't selling it. You want to keep it.
No.
We have to then go to a different town. We've decided with Saj we have to go to a different town.
So the emotional attachment isn't there as such.
Yeah, we'll do a flip in a different city.
Yeah.
It's renting so well. Like, I don't know why people do. I know because we need cash. We always like, this project costs 40,000 more.
Yes.
It's not the small money where you can just like, I've got it in my back pocket. Because if every project costs you 10, 20, 40,000 and you're doing few of them, it's a lot of money.
And you'll have several projects running at any one moment in time, and you've got various property businesses as well. So how's the best way for people to connect with you? And then we'll shout out any people that you want to shout out before we wrap up.
So yeah, you can find me on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and everywhere. Most of my posts are in Polish because that's what I do. I create the Polish networkings and VIP networking, and I work with Polish investors and people that want to start their investing career. But we do show our projects on Facebook mainly.
So we'll share the links in the description as well. And anybody in particular you want to shout out that's helped you with this particular project?
I think everyone does need a little bit of a shout out because the builders done an amazing job. You know, the quality of work, it's really good, and that's what matters. The interior designer Paras, you know, thank you so much because she did spend a lot of time on the projects, and anyone from the cleaners, you know, the letting agents, it's everyone that
everyone does
helped us.
their bit to make it work, because a project like this isn't a case of you just hand it to one person and you turn up 4 months later and can have the keys and start collecting the rent. There's so many different components.
And when you're starting out, you haven't got that team around and you have to keep asking questions. And it's so much easier when you can pick up the phone to the architect and say, well, I don't know, what is that certificate of lawfulness? Can you just sort this out? Yes. You know, I'll send you everything. Because it just makes it so much faster to move to the next project.
So just before we wrap up then, what's one key learning that you can share on this project with people watching before we wrap up?
When we were in the process of this project, I thought, oh my God, I'm never doing this, I'm never doing this, and I'm never going to do this again. But when it's finished, you're like, oh, this is really nice.
So
okay, let's just do another one like that. So the key learning is, I think the schedule of work, and it's really important, you know, to be on it. And we are on the builders and the team, and I think we need to be a bit more
hands-on rather than just leaving the responsibility to the people and managing each stage a little bit further.
It's just you need to know as an investor where you are with each project and where you're heading, what is the next stage, because sometimes these things are causing delays. So if you don't call building controls on time, then it's 3-4 days before they come out. Little things like that, they're just adding on and adding on. So that's the one thing. The second thing is that the luxury projects like this, they are really nice, but they cost a lot of money.
Yes.
And you know, the lighting, the pictures, everything that is in here, it's costs more. So when I see people doing service accommodation and costing the rooms, and they, you know, costing it on the very basic level, then you know they're going to go wrong, because the beds cost more, the settee costs more, the stable costs more, like everything is more expensive. So just have a clear vision of like, what do you want to do with the project? Who is this going to be for? Like, don't just do luxury because it looks nice and you can show it on YouTube. Because maybe if we were thinking about our lower end tenants, we would do this completely different and it costs us less.
So the same house to your, because you did different types of tenant categories. So if you had an entry level type property, your spend on this will be significantly less, and you can still cash flow and make that.
It will be still cash flowing, but once you start doing it, you can't just switch in the process. So you have to do this at the beginning.
The outcome
you have
has
to be clear
from the offset.
You can't be like, oh, maybe I rent to students, maybe to professionals. It's a very different product. So just that's all.
Understanding the customer before you start.
Yeah.
Great learning. Thank you so much for that. So, and if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you let us know in the comment section below. And if you want to see more videos like this and more amazing houses, make sure you let us know in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you on the next video.